In July 2005, after deadly terror attacks in London, a coalition of Brotherhood-aligned Muslim American groups saw an ideal opportunity to hone their positive public image. They would issue a carefully worded fatwa, a religious decree against terrorism.
Islam strictly condemns religious extremism and the use of violence against innocent lives. There is no justification in Islam for extremism or terrorism.
Having our religious scholars side by side with our community leaders leaves no room for anybody to suggest that Islam and Muslims condone nor support any forms or acts of terrorism.
Bullshit.
Yet elsewhere, these and other signers of the fatwa have called out for acts of violence or terrorism, albeit sometimes in veiled language.
الآن آن لأمريكا أن ترد الدين إلى أرض الإسلام، إلى أرض الشرق، إلى القدس، بالبذل بعهد مع الله على الجهاد، على الاستشهاد، أن نغير أنماط حياتنا.
Because if you remain on the side of injustice, the wrath of God will come. Please, all Americans, do you remember that Allah is watching everyone, God is watching everyone. If you continue doing injustice and tolerate injustice, the wrath of God will come.
We are here today to tell our brothers and sisters in Palestine that you have learned the way, that you have known that the jihad way is the way to liberate your land.
They take terms like jihad, like terrorism, and they redefine it for themselves to justify and rationalize the positions they're taking. So someone might say, do you support terrorism? They say no, because they don't believe that acts, for example, by Hamas against Israeli civilians is terrorism.
A typical response is to avoid condemning officially designated terrorist groups Hamas or Hezbollah by name, hiding behind the broad term terrorism. When pressed by the reporter to condemn Hamas and Hezbollah, this CAIR official repeatedly refused.
I'm telling you in a very clear fashion, CAIR condemns terrorist acts, whoever commits them, wherever they commit them, whenever they commit them.
Under George W. Bush, the Department of Homeland Security's Michael Chertoff set forth recommendations, like avoiding such words as jihadist. This same language is proudly embraced by some Islamists.
Allah promised you that you're not going to die in jihad. It is an honor to die in jihad. Yes.
You don't like jihad? Yes, jihad. Well, jihad is the tightest thing in Islam. Sure, don't compromise on these little things. Be proud of it. Why? Because Islam is a perfect religion. If you sit here and you start, saying jihad is only internal, this and this and that, you are compromising on your faith.
Deceptive.
Jihad is very much like sexism and racism. You can smell it.
What do you mean? It is.
Language, sly language being used. This is something that you know when you see it.
This is how the language is contorted. This is how the language is manipulated. This is how the agenda is hidden. It's hidden in the language.
The goal is peace. In one word, peace.
Islam is peace. Yeah, Islam is peace. But peace is not necessarily freedom. Peace just means the absence of opposition.
As long as you're their slave, it's peace.
Prevail everywhere and justice.
Who would ever have a problem with justice? Jihad is just to establish justice. So when you hear the word justice, you think fighting for someone's rights or trying to make sure that no one is mistreated.
And they exploit us for that.
That's not how Muslim fundamentalists define justice. Okay? Justice can only come from Allah, from God. We will never have justice until we have an Islamic state, because whoever doesn't rule by what Allah has revealed is an oppressor.
Goodbye, America.
The goal is equality. The goal is respect of human rights. The goal is to live Muslims and non-Muslims together in one society.
أيها الإخوة الكرام، إن القضية الفلسطينية ليست صراعا على حدود ولا أرض فحسب، بل هي صراع حضاري
منهج شيطاني يتزعمه يهود ومن يوالونهم.
See what they think about the Jews and the Christian, all of us.
حماس والحركة الإسلامية جميعا.
We're not Muslim, that's it. Off of their heads.
These type of radical Muslims, they know their agenda is so sensitive. I mean, if anyone ever caught wind of what they're doing, you know, they'd be finished. So they have to hide it. They have to mask it. They hide it in plain sight. That's what they do. They hide it in plain sight.
Hence the art of this grand deception. All right, speed it up. See if I can get the last of it here, of this section. No more juice, Jim Jones. Yep. Back that up a second here. Oh, here you go.
We have to change our attitude towards others. Those of us in the Arab community, like your or my brothers and sisters who are Muslims, they will always dua Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah destroyed America. There is no way for Muslims to be violent in America. No way. And I think if we are outside this country, we can say Allah destroyed America. But once we are here, our mission in this country is to change.
Speaking in 1996 before the Islamic Association for Palestine, a Hamas front and one of the groups listed in the explanatory memorandum, this was Muslim Brotherhood leader Abdurrahman Alamoudi.
Clinton's buddy.
Audiences, Alamoudi would not be so blunt, yet.
He was a quintessential Muslim Brotherhood person who was very articulate and well educated and had been in the media, and he used the media very effectively.
Mr. Alamoudi,
Yes.
is there a network of Islamic extremists that are committed to jihad?
In America?
Yes.
No.
A 1996 Wall Street Journal editorial by Steve Emerson, entitled Friends of Hamas in the White House, connected Alamoudi politically and financially to Hamas leader Musa Abu Marzouk. Later that year on Arabic television, Alamoudi spoke of his intimate relationship with Marzouk, before realizing that by mentioning Hamas by name, he tied himself to the larger Brotherhood network.
وأنا أعرف موسى من قبل وحقيقة أنا أعتقد موسى من الناس الممتازين في الحركة الإسلامية الفلسطينية عامة ولا بد أن نتعاون معه.
Off camera in America, he spelled out the ulterior Brotherhood aims.
Sooner or later, will be the moral leadership of America. Either we do it now, or we do it after 100 years. But this country will become a Muslim country.
Publicly, Alamoudi established ties with powerful members of Congress and presidential candidates.
Alamoudi was someone who I think embodied really the ability for these organizations to penetrate a very deep level of society and a deep level of our government.
The Defense Department provided further access for Alamoudi, putting him in charge of the military's Muslim chaplain program.
Thanks, Clinton.
The State Department even selected Alamoudi to serve as a goodwill spokesman to the Muslim world. Documents reveal that the State Department spent at least $40,000 to send Alamoudi on speaking tours in the Middle East from 1992 to 2001. Alamoudi discussed the state of Islam in America in countries such as Saudi Arabia, Syria, Jordan, Kuwait,
Still want Hillary?
and the United Arab Emirates. In a 1999 visit to Amman, Jordan, on a goodwill mission, he gave a moderate speech at the U.S. Embassy. But later that afternoon, in an undercover interview, he revealed his support for violence. Back home a year later, Alamoudi finally merged his public persona and private allegiances at a Washington, D.C. rally just steps from the White House. This video was taken after the mainstream media had left for the day.
I have been labeled by the media in New York to be a supporter of Hamas. Anybody support this Hamas here? Hear that, Bill Clinton? We are all supporters of Hamas. Allahu Akbar. I wish they added that I'm also a supporter of Hezbollah. Anybody supports Hezbollah here? Takbir!
Verbally supporting terror groups while shocking is not illegal. On the other hand, in January of 2001, Al-Amoudi traveled with several other members of the American Muslim Brotherhood to Beirut to meet with leaders of Hamas, Hezbollah, Islamic Jihad, and Al-Qaeda. The goal of the meeting was to unite the terror groups to wage jihad against Israel and the U.S. to secure Muslim control of Jerusalem. Beyond all of his other associations, Al-Amoudi was also close with the country of Libya, at the time designated a state sponsor of terrorism.
He was a person we were monitoring in the same way that we monitor other people who are believed to be agents of foreign powers.
In March 2003, Libyan President Muammar al-Gaddafi felt he was publicly insulted by Saudi Crown Prince Abdullah and recruited Al-Amoudi to work on an assassination plot against the Crown Prince. During the stopover in London in September 2003, British custom officials found $340,000 in cash in a briefcase with Al-Amoudi. U.S. officials later charged him with prohibited transactions with Libya, lying on immigration forms, and supporting terrorism. This Treasury document states Al-Amoudi had been an Al-Qaeda fundraiser for years, while he was still meeting with countries on behalf of the U.S. He received a sentence of 23 years for his crimes. He declined to be interviewed for this program. However, in a written response, he made this startling admission from prison. I am, I hope, still a member of the Muslim Brotherhood organization in the USA.
Yep. And Hillary and Obama permitted it.